Now let's return to our top story. Donald Trump suggesting the US could deploy troops to Nigeria or carry out airstrikes to stop what he called the killing of Christians by Islamist insurgents. He told reporters on Air Force One that he would not allow the large number of deaths to continue. The Nigerian government has denied that Christians are being disproportionately targeted by jihadists and insurgents.
That to happen. I mean, a lot of things I envisage, a lot of things. They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. And they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world, very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
President Trump. Well, for more on this, let's speak now to the Republican operator, Richard T. Hines, President and CEO of RTH Consulting, which specializes in domestic government procurement and international relations. Mr. Hines was one of those who helped Donald Trump run his election campaign and is a Trump loyalist. And he joins me now on the line from Miami, Florida. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Hines, for joining us. You are a lobbyist for the Republican Party. Why has this issue suddenly caught the attention of the US president? Because, I mean, militants have been attacking Nigerian communities for some time now. Why is he suddenly paying attention?
That's a good question. Can you hear me is another question.
We can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear.
Good. Well, I want to be loud and clear about this. I do support President Trump's intention to stop the killing of Christians in Nigeria. But let me make a concession. You are quite correct. Your news coverage is very complete. It's not just Christians that are being killed, it's Muslims as well. To the extent that the U.S. government is interested in helping Nigeria stop the killing among Christians and Muslims, I think that's a good thing. I've been to Plateau State, I've been to Kanu. You've got some issues. What I'm trying to express, my friend, is it's not a good idea to take as Nigeria's defense that, golly gee whiz, the terrorists are also killing a lot of Muslims beside Christians. Do you take my point?
Indeed. And just to further buttress that point, both international and local groups that monitor violence in Nigeria, groups like Open Doors and ACLED, say there is no evidence to suggest that Christians are being killed on a bigger scale than Muslims in a country where the two religions offer a fairly even split in terms of their followership. I mean, in that regard, do you think that it was quite loaded for the US president to use the term Christian genocide?
Well, I've been to Plateau State many times, and not being as familiar with Nigeria, I think Trump misses some of the details. I've been to Sokoto. There is perhaps a toleration in that part of Nigeria for the killing of Christians more than the killing of Muslims. And I do detect an uptick of Islamic fundamentalism. But on your larger point, you're correct. I don't think President Trump gets the fact that they've burned a lot of mosques. They've killed tens of thousands of Muslims as well. But you have to be somewhat empathetic to Trump and the base of Christian voters. And of course, the United States is a predominantly Christian country. So it's the concern naturally. The same thing would be if Saudi Arabia were concerned about the killings in Gaza. There are a few Christians left in Gaza, but most of the people being killed in Gaza are Muslims. So the sympathy of the Saudis would be with the killing of the Muslims. This is an idea that I'm going to pass on to my friends in the Trump administration, and that is we don't want to challenge the national integrity and sovereignty of the largest nation in Africa, Nigeria. But I think something could be arranged through the Organization of African Unity, through the United Nations, whereby the United States military is able to join in joint operations with Nigeria's national police and military, use the latest technology and destroy these centers of violence and destroy the toleration for violence. You know, Trump himself has done that in some of the major American cities like Washington, D.C., New York, Los Angeles, and it's working. It's working there. So I'm just suggesting that I think Trump is right about stopping the killing in Nigeria in the same way he's trying to stop the crime in large cities of America.
I think you've got a very good point there, Mr. Hines, because ultimately, if the United States is able to help Nigeria to stop the militants, then that will bring an end to both the killing of Christians and Muslims. But I think the question on many people's minds is whether sending in the US military into a sovereign country such as Nigeria is the best course of action, or would the best course of action be to get the Nigerian government to start protecting the citizens more, both Christians and Muslims, so that the killings can stop? And in that regard, as you suggested, the US could lend greater assistance to the Nigerian authorities in dealing with this terror problem.
Well, at the base of the matter, I've said this for years, and I've been in Nigeria many, many times. Nigerians and Americans are very similar. You know, we both live in very diverse countries, and we have a natural affinity for each other. Also, our economics are tied together. Nigeria is, I think, our second or third largest supplier of overseas oil. So we are bound together. This issue should not be dealt with in a way of saying, well, you know, Trump and the MAGA supporters want to take over Nigeria. I don't think that's the point at all. I think the point is simply to stop the killing, and it ought to be a joint type operation. Now, let me touch on another sensitive subject that I know about because I've been in Nigeria so many times. And that is your national police and even military is somewhat dominated by one tribe, the Fulani. And they are, I'm sure, fundamentalist Islamic believers in the army. And they personally need to understand that their allegiance needs to be to the law of Nigeria, not to their personal faith, and that they should not turn a blind eye to the killing of Christians, particularly in places like Plateau State. And I think that may have happened in the past. So let's be honest about dealing with the problem. I don't think Trump is moving to take over Nigeria. We can throw that out the window. We can also throw out the window that just Christians are being killed. We know that's not true. What we want to do is end the violence and make Nigeria a prosperous and tolerant example of democracy for Africa and the world. And that's where my heart is, and I'm sure that's where your heart is as well.
Indeed, and I'm pretty sure that's where the heart of the minds of many Nigerians is at the moment. And I mean, there's a lot of evangelical Christians in America who are speaking about what is happening in Nigeria. I mean, Christianity is supposed to be a non-violent religion. Would it not be better and more beneficial to work with other faiths and have a sort of interfaith approach to find a better life for all Nigerians, many of whom live in sort of grinding deprivation and poverty, as I'm sure you've seen when you've come to Nigeria, irrespective of their faith? I mean, isn't that the best way to find peace in Nigeria?
Well, I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of poverty. But what's always impressed me when I go to Nigeria is that the individual strength of each Nigerian. Nigeria has always impressed me as a place where everybody, rich and poor, believe in family values. They believe in loyalty to the community. They don't want to sell inherited land. They don't want to give up all of their customs that they have inherited and a culture from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And to that extent, I think you're right. But I would say this, all right, the Americans are a predominantly Christian country. The Christians in America concerned about the killing of Christians in Nigeria, bring them in and they can help. And if they start helping the Christians, they'll help the Muslims as well. So I take a positive, I'm delighted, to be honest with you, that President Trump has noticed the problems in Nigeria. Now, some of them also, I think it was former President Buhari that pointed out some of the weapons. He made a speech a few years ago in the area of the Lake Chad Basin about American weapons from Ukraine ending up with terrorists in Nigeria. Well, that question needs to be addressed. That has been happening. And there are all sorts of questions like that need to be addressed. But we need to get the Americans to focus on Nigeria, to help Nigeria in economic development, but not to dominate Nigeria.
Indeed. And just before we let you go, Mr. Hines, and we appreciate very much the time you've taken to talk to us, what would you advise the Nigerian government to do in the current circumstances? I mean, how seriously should they take President Trump's warning?
It's interesting. I'm a big believer in approaches back to the past. And it was when I was a child, President John F. Kennedy was president, and he created something called the Peace Corps. I would even encourage Trump to consider reactivating the Peace Corps, let American volunteers with different backgrounds, retired doctors, retired engineers, come to Nigeria, see the poverty. And as we help lift Nigeria out of the poverty, you'll see an end to the violence. I think anything we do that promotes closer relationships between individual Nigerians and individual Americans is going to be a plus for Nigeria. And be honest with you, it'll be a plus for Americans too.
Okay, on that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. Richard T. Hines is a Republican. He's president and CEO of RTH Consulting, and he was one of those who helped Donald Trump run his election campaign and is a Trump loyalist. And he was talking to me on the line there from Miami, Florida. Thank you very much indeed. And you're watching The World.
Nigeria. Good.